In this video, I'm going to show you a social media strategy that will give you post ideas for an entire month without having to come up with content every single day. If we haven't met before, my name is Dawn Martinello. I'm the owner of Insight and Velocity, where I support entrepreneurs who are super passionate about creating a business and a life that they love by making it as easy as possible for them to launch their online presence without going crazy, even if they don't know what they're doing. So today I'm going to show you and help you create a powerful social media marketing plan for your business using only one piece of content. Now, repurposing your content in a little bit more shareable way for social media allows you to still promote your products and services while still engaging, growing, educating your audience. Now, before you get started, if you think that other people are going to benefit from what we're learning here today, please, please, please share this video with them, tag them down below. I would absolutely love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. And I also want to know what kind of gold nuggets you're picking up along the way as well. So drop those down below in the comments as well. Now, I tend to talk a little bit fast. We're going to go through this extra fast because I just wasted 20 minutes talking to myself. So all of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is going to be in the extended show notes. You can get a hold of those. I usually have them up within the next 24 to 48 hours. If you drop the word remind me, all one word, down below, I will make sure that you get those as soon as they come out. So without Zoom, I have a super duper problem. I don't know how to share my screen from the back end of this. I'm looking, I don't see it. So I can't really share my screen like I was going to, but that's okay because we're still going to go through all of the stuff that we're going to go through, and it's still going to be insanely helpful for you guys. And I think what I'll do is I will do a separate video for the screen share part so you guys can see all of that and put them in the extended show notes as well. Excuse me. All right, so there's a couple of things to make sure that you have in order to make this work. Now, you can use it without them. This just makes your life a little bit easier. The whole without going crazy part comes from taking little things like this and being able to put them into motion. So if you remember before, I've talked about Social Champ before. It's my favorite social media scheduler. There's a zillion out there. You don't have to choose the one that I use. If you want one-on-one help, that's just going to be easier for me to go back and get that. So there's two things that happen inside the social media schedulers. With Social Champ, they have everything set up so that you can go in and create what they call collections. So under the recycle section, they have a collection. And that's where I put all of my buckets, my speed buckets, right? So the showcase, personal, promotion, engagement, and the direction. And I'll go over those in a second. The second part of that is the actual campaign. So that's deciding I want one of my showcase posts to go out every Monday at 10 a.m. I want one of my promotional posts to go out every Friday at 12 p.m. And I can designate if I want it to go out to just one platform, multiple platforms. For me, I send them out to my Facebook group. I send them out to my Facebook page, as well as LinkedIn. But you can put anything you want on there. If you want Instagram, if you want any of them, you can stick them all in there. They all go in the same spot. Okay, so quickly about the speed buckets. Again, if you haven't watched the previous videos, go back and listen to those because we go into much greater detail. But super, super quickly for you guys, your showcase is anything like testimonials, anything that makes you sound really, really smart and know what you're talking about. It's kind of the showcase of what you are about professionally. Okay, personal are the things that allow you to connect with other people, right? So I have pictures of my son sometimes that I have in there. Sometimes they're just super fun things. Sometimes it's, I have one post that was in there. I did like a photo shoot with somebody and I felt super uncomfortable because they had so much makeup on. It just didn't feel like me. And then I wasn't going to share anything. And I think there's this whole like connection between how society and social media, especially like things like Instagram, you look on everybody's perfect and the differences between those. So it allows people to connect to me on a personal level. Promotion, super easy. If you've got things to sell, you stick offers in there, because social media, your business, everything you do can't just be about making everybody feel good. Eventually, you have to ask for the sale. If you don't have anything for sale, that's okay. Offer your newsletter list. Offer the free thing that you're going to be having in there. Engagement, super simple. They're just ways to get people to comment on your posts. So anything that's polarizing. Do you like, what is that stuff called? Pineapple on your pizza, right? There's a picture of me and my son wearing this ridiculous, like, snuggly thing that my niece bought me for Christmas. Who wore it better, right? Those kind of things where people just kind of chuckle a little bit. Sometimes they might share it, but more often what we're looking for is people to actually comment on there. When people start to comment on your posts, even when it's not business related, you now have people that you can talk to, people that are going to know about you, people that are going to stick around for things. The last one is always the one that confuses everybody. It's the direction bucket. When you think about marketing, the sales psychology of everything, there are certain things that people have to believe in order to decide that they need to buy things. If I don't know that I have a problem, I'm never going to buy your product. So you might have to make me aware that I have a problem. I might not know who you are, so I don't feel comfortable buying from you. So this is different from your showcase, right? But we're just letting them kind of get to know who we are a little bit. So I want them to know a little bit about me. Yes, that comes a little bit from my showcase, but that's more professional. Yes, it comes a little bit from the personal, but these are very specific things that I want them to know about me. So whenever we're talking about sales and marketing, there's that psychology of what do I have to believe about myself as the buyer, about you as the seller, about my problem, about your solution, about whatever. All of those kind of things can go into your directional buckets. Okay, so super, super quick overview on those ones, making sure that you've got the right tools in place. Find something like Social Champ. I'll put the link down below for you guys if you want to check that one out. The only thing that I really, really care about in there, lots of bells and whistles that you can get for lots of things. Make sure you have some way of putting different buckets in there to be able to send them out to the places that you want to go. Okay, you can do it manually. It just takes a whole lot of time, and a guarantee, unless you're like super duper bored and want to do nothing but sit at your computer all day, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're going to get bored of it. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to get overwhelmed and frustrated, and you're going to quit it. So don't do that. If you follow the method that I talk about, so I talked about it a couple weeks ago, the core method, right? So planning for your conversions for every piece of content that you're doing one thing once a week. So we build the consistency and people get to know that this is what you're going to be doing. Repurposing and engaging. You only need, when you're starting this, 4 things in each bucket. Okay, I'll explain why in a little bit. You'll see that as we build out the repurposing social media marketing plan that we're going to talk about today. But you only need 4 things in each bucket, which is why you can get started with this so stinking quickly. I've tried other people's things and they're like, there's like 100 things that you can just bulk upload. No, I don't. I get super overwhelmed to sit down and try to think of 50 things that I'm going to put in social media. It's too much. 4 things per bucket, that's super easy, right? I can do that in a heartbeat. So let me tell you why I choose Facebook Live. You can do anything you want, right? So the core method, is 1 thing once a week. For me, it's Facebook Lives. For you, it might be a podcast. It might be a blog post. It might be a pre-recorded video that goes live. It might be on Facebook. It might be on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter what it is. For me, I like Facebook Live. Why? It's easy. Not today, it wasn't, because that's not a really good point for today, is it? It's generally easy, but even when things go wrong, I can easily fix it. We just went live anyway in a different format. It's easy. It's something that's familiar with me. It also feeds the algorithm. So remember way back in December, we talked about the social trifecta, right? You, the client, and the algorithm, and feeding the algorithm, giving it what it wants, right? Facebook wants something a little bit different than Instagram does, then a little bit different than LinkedIn is, but they all have the same end goal, and that's to keep their audience on their platform. It's no different than you as a business, right? You want people to stay on your website longer. You want people to interact on your social media longer. Facebook, LinkedIn, all the platforms are all the same. They end up wanting more people there. So when I do a Facebook Live, it feeds the algorithm, right? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I do something that Facebook likes. Facebook does something that I like, spreads it out a little bit further. Okay, so those are the main reasons that I do it. But there's a secondary reason. I'm very busy. We have a house of 6 people, teenagers that are going to high school, animals that we have to take care of, groceries to buy, all of the regular things that we have to do. I also have a full client load that I work 30 to 40 hours a week with, on top of all of the stuff that I do on my side part of what I do in my business. So these weekly lives, creating all of the content for them, get it done, right? All of those things are in addition to my regular work week and everything else. I know for a fact, because history has proven it, that if I try to put too much on my plate, if I try to create a blog post every single week, if I try to do a produced video every single week, it's going to fall flat in about 3 weeks, and there goes everything, right? And honestly, when I talk to other people and I hear their stories, they never blame themselves. They never look at it that I tried to do something that didn't fit within my life, within my capabilities, without my my comfort zone, right? We got to start somewhere. So we do things and then it falls flat. And then we're like, oh my God, it doesn't actually work. But it does. You just have to pull back some of the layers and do what's going to be feasible right now. You don't try and do everything. Okay. If you go and look at, Russell Brunson and do everything that he's doing, oh my God, you are not Russell Brunson. You do not have the team. You do not have the foundations for it. So you start where you can. So let's just say I didn't prepare for this video. I didn't do the show notes for it. I don't have a script for it. I don't have anything. If I do absolutely nothing, it's in my calendar that at Thursday at 10 a.m. I go live. I can show up and talk for 30 or 40 minutes and teach you something that I know without having any preparation. I can show up, whether my hair is done, whether my makeup is done, doesn't really matter. I can show up. So that's why I chose the Facebook Lives. Yes, it's easy. Yes, it's familiar. Yes, it's great for the algorithm and way better bang for my buck than trying to write a blog post and worry about SEO, because I'm not a master of SEO, but I can do video. I can show up. I know that I can give a presentation for 40 minutes on a million different topics, so I can do that. Okay, so think about that when you're deciding, like, oh my God, no, I don't want to do this, right? If everything collapses, I can still show up. I can still do what I need to do, and I can still manage all of the marketing plan that goes behind it. But we can't just rely on the algorithm alone, right? That's why we repurpose our shit, right? We have to have different touch points. Okay, so when I think about repurposing, it's not just, I'm going to stick it over here and I'm going to stick it over here and, oh yeah, chop your video up and stick it over here. So in the, when I talk about this, you can go out and Google a million different ways to chop up your content, right? You can find people that will give you 150 different things that you can get from your one piece of content. You can go find all that stuff out. The problem is when we don't understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we can approach it before we even get to it, it becomes like this checklist, right? It's this, robotic thing that we do because we have to, and we never learn for ourselves what it really means to repurpose our content. And that's what I want to talk about today. So yes, I am going to give you the way that I go about things, how I cut my stuff up, how I get all the different touch points out. But more importantly, I want you to pay attention to what you're actually learning. Learn how to think like me. Don't just learn how to follow the checklist that I have. Okay, that's my whole thing for everything, guys. So we have to have different touch points. Every touch point, you're saying things in a different way. When you think about marketing, and marketing can be getting people to click on your email, getting people to open your email, getting people to buy your thing, getting people to opt in. There's a reason that we A/B test a million different things, right? So you might test a headline, but there's reasons behind it. Why do you do it? Because what you think somebody might actually respond to might not be the real problem that they have, right? So in this particular one, we talked about creating your content from one piece, or creating your social marketing plan from one piece of content in less than an hour. Because for me, everything that I'm going to show you takes me less than an hour at the end of every single live, and away we go. That's a time issue. For somebody else, they might not care. I've got all the time in the world. I'm just starting out. Time isn't really much of an issue for them. What's more of an issue is, how do I get it? What is the checklist? So when we repurpose stuff, it's not just chopping it up and sending it out in different places. And we're not going to do the and. The and comes in a second. So we're not just chopping it out and sending it in different places. We have to try to hook people in different ways. So if you go out fishing and you use one lure and it doesn't work, you can try a different lure. Put it in the same spot, you're going to get a fish. Your repurposing and your touch points are no different. They're no different. Okay. So let me tell you a quick little side story. My son, who is almost 15 now, has sucked his thumb since he was a baby. Obviously, could not get him to stop. Tried everything I could. He had this teeny tiny little kitty that he had since he was born, carried it everywhere, slept with it. And as he started to get older, 5, 6, 7, he wouldn't suck his thumb all the time, but he would suck his thumb when he had his cat. So he would have his kitty cat in his hand and his thumb in his mouth. If his cat wasn't in his hand, his thumb wasn't in his mouth. So we thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to take the kitty cat away, right? We're going to put her over here. Couldn't get him to stop sucking his thumb. I tried bribing him. I begged. I pleaded. I tried to instill the fear of God in this child to stop sucking his thumb because I was worried about his teeth. I was worried about the social aspects of things. Every time we would go into the dentist, I'd be like, hey, how's Spencer's teeth? Because, you know, he's still sucking his thumb and I keep telling him that he's going to ruin his teeth. And they would look at it and swear to God, it was like they didn't even see the wink. Maybe they don't know what the wink is. Maybe they thought I was hitting on him. I don't really know. But they would be like, no, his teeth look great. I was infuriated. So eventually we got to see an orthodontist because we did have a dentist that said, oh, you know what? It does look like his teeth are starting to come out a little bit. A little bit. This kid's teeth were jacked. So we went into the orthodontist. First time ever meeting this man. Sat down with Spencer and he looked him square in the eye and he said, you know what? He says, we got to stop sucking your thumb, bud. He said, he showed him the x-rays and he says, see this? He says, that's not how your teeth are supposed to be. That's because you're sucking your thumb. He says, but the good news is we're going to give you something that you can take, you can put in your mouth. You can take it out when you're eating, but it's going to stay in your mouth. And in the next year, your teeth are going to be fixed. And as long as you don't keep sucking your thumb, it's not going to be a problem. He says, that's an easy fix. He says, I just had an 18-year-old teenager leave the office. She's been sucking her thumb just like you all her life. He says, I can still fix her teeth too, but I have to do surgery to do it. When we walked out of that office, my son looked at me and he says, Mom, I think you should maybe take kitty cat. I don't think I should suck my thumb anymore. And I was floored. This kid was 7 years old and he just decided, because Dr. Frank said, that he wasn't going to suck his thumb again and never sucked his thumb again. So what's the point of that? It's a different touch point. It's somebody else that's saying it. It's somebody saying things in a different way. They touched on a pain point that I had never touched on with Spencer, right? I could have told him, you're going to have surgery, but that's not coming from a doctor who knows, right? So you're repurposing, your marketing, all of this stuff is all about finding different ways of saying all kind of the same thing, but how do we get people interested in watching, reading, interacting with the things that we're doing? Okay, so my different touch points start right from the very beginning. Okay? I don't have a massive, crazy plan that takes me hours and hours because I don't have time to do it. It's not what I'm interested in doing. So it starts from the beginning. When I decide that I'm going to do the live and I have my topic, I create the Facebook event, right? And that's where I go live. That gets, spread out between people, but I share it on my personal profile and I share it within my Facebook group. Okay, I don't share it into LinkedIn. I like to create things special for different sections. So I actually create just a post, a LinkedIn size graphic with some content that Jasper has written. Jasper, by the way, is Jarvis. We'll talk about that in a second too, and why I just want to marry him. So yes, so I do all of that and I don't even put a link. So when you link off of a platform, right, we're doing what the algorithm doesn't really want us to do, which is sending people away, right? So rather than doing that, I have a longer introduction to what I'm going to be talking about in the video. And then I just ask them, if you want to see the video, let me know in the comments below. I also send a teaser email out to my email list. There's 2 that go out to them. I used to do 3. I think it was too much. So now we do 2. The first one gives them kind of a sense of what we're going to talk about and just ask them, do you want the video? Right? They reply. And then on Thursday morning, I'm like, great. It's going to be available for you here at 10 a.m. And I send them to the event so that they can hopefully show up live. Right? That's the plan. I lost my screen. Oh no.
For like 20 minutes late because I tried to use Zoom to connect like I do. I also said.
So this is what happens when we go live. And then I try to like be fancy and try and have two things going at once. Don't be like me. Okay, so I start off with the video or the event, right? Gets shared out on all these different places. Before I even go live, before I do anything else, I have a sense of what I'm going to be talking about because I've already used Jasper/Jarvis to create, you know, most of the show notes that I'm going to be doing, all of the emails, titles, descriptions, YouTube stuff, SEO stuff. He's written the emails for me. He's written the video intro. So he's got all of this stuff already written for me. So I jot down the ideas that I'm going to have for my speed buckets. So remember at the beginning when I told you, you only needed 4 things for each of your speed buckets. Here's the reason that you can get away with it. Every single week, my goal is to add 1 thing to each of those speed buckets, except for my promotions, because that doesn't usually, it's not really a thing. Promotions, I only have 2. 1 for the things I'm going to sell and 1 for the thing I'm getting them to opt in for. So I only have 1 for each of those things. So I don't add more stuff to my promotion speed bucket because anything that's going to happen beyond what's already in there is either a brand new thing that's going to be added when that thing is available, or it's a limited time thing that I'm doing. Maybe it's a masterclass or a webinar or something like that, in which case I would have a whole separate thing for that one. But my goal is to have 1 new thing for each one. So that way, when I start off with my speed buckets, and when I did start doing this, I couldn't think of more than 3 or 4 things. I think in some of them, I only had 2, so I had to be really, really quick in trying to find new things to put in them. But if you can start off with 4, that's going to give you enough to start doing your weekly content. And if you are going through the process that we're talking about right now and creating those speed buckets, you have ideas for what can go into each of those things each week. Okay, and the way that Social Champ works and the way that I think most of them are going to work is you've got a list. So if you've got 5 things in your showcase bucket, it's going to start at the top and it's going to do that one on Monday at 8 a.m. And then the next Monday, it's going to do the second thing. So when I add something in, I just look and see like, where am I in that list? And I put my new thing right there so that it gets into this kind of iteration of everything. And then it just goes into the longer queue. Okay, so when you are starting off, you only need 4, even less if you really need to, but try and get 4 in there. And then every week you're adding new things. Now it's not full things because I haven't done the video yet. Sometimes I've got a script and I go completely off script, right? Whew, crazy. Dawn goes off on a tangent. Sometimes there's weird things that I'm not going to know about. I make a lot of weird faces, and I'll show you what I do with those at the end too, because everything has a stinking purpose, right? But I do jot down the ideas. So for example, for my showcase, there might be one of the different points that I'm going to make where I can say, you know what, I think this is going to be the most powerful point. I'm going to make a little note that I'm going to want to go in there and grab something from that little section, and that's going to be part of my showcase, right? So I jot all those numbers down. That only takes me like 5 minutes because it's all still fresh in my head. And I'm not making the final plan. I just want notes. But that 5 minutes saves me so much time, guys, so much time at the end of everything. It's partially what allows me to go so much quicker at the end, right? It's the difference between having a packing list. I'm going away for a month. I've got a packing list of everything I need versus I'm going away for a month. Oh shit, what do I need to pack, right? You're going to move a lot faster if you have your packing list and you can just go through everything, right? So it's the same kind of thing. So once the video is actually done, there are a few things that I actually do. So I bring my speed bucket list out in front of me, got it right there so that I don't forget things. On LinkedIn, you can upload a video up to 15 minutes. Now, I've been trying to do tests of what works better, a longer video that's on there or a shorter one, whatever you want to try. You can test it out for yourself, see what your people actually like, but anything up to 15 minutes. If I can't decide on a section, then I don't. Then I just do the intro, the hook, maybe a little bit of the beginning part. But before we start like, hey, share this video and all of that kind of stuff, I just getting their attention, right? So if nothing else, I know that my intro and my hook are going to be enough of an attention getter. And then I can use some of the content that Jasper's already written and kind of beef it up if I really need to. And again, the call to action is, if you want the video, it's ready, just let me know and I'll send it to you. Right? Because now I'm giving LinkedIn what they want. I'm not sending them away. I'm giving them a little video. I'm giving them some text to read. And I'm just saying, hey, if you want this, let me know. And I'll give you what you want. Okay? And when people comment, then I just send them a message and I say, hey, here. And I send them back to the Facebook Live. Crazy. Easy, 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 easy. Now, I don't put a whole lot of effort into YouTube, but it's there. I have like 100 and some odd subscribers that are on there that enjoy the videos that go up. They usually like them or comment on them or send me a message about them. So I just take the whole video and I just drop it on YouTube. And I just created a little, using Canva, an end screen. So at the end of the videos, it's got, you know, what's coming up next, a recommended video, a little picture of me in the middle with a subscribe. Thanks for watching. And that goes at the end of the videos. I don't do anything with them. I don't produce them. I have notes in my SOP of, you know, hey, add a card here because you always talk about this thing at the beginning and add this at the end, right? I've got all of those things. I've got in the SOP, it's got all of my little snippets that I use and all that stuff. So it's super easy for me just to load it up onto YouTube. When I do my prep, I've already got all of the graphics that I'm going to use for my blog post, for the YouTube video, for this event. I've got all of those ready to go. So it's super, super quick and easy to just whoop and send it up and go on to the next thing. So when I'm inside of, and I just use, what is this thing called? I don't even know. It's on my computer. Cyberlink Powerdirector. So while my file is still in there, I just literally take the slider and fast forward it. And all I'm doing is scanning for the funny faces that I know I make, right? Because there's a lot of them. And I never used to do this, but then I was watching a video from Molly Lahoney and she was like, yeah, like I sometimes will, because she knows what, again, right? She's preparing for her content and she'll sometimes make an actual move, like she'll be cognizant of what she wants to turn into a GIF at the end. So she'll be aware of that and do different things. But also her team just goes in and says, hey, you made this really weird face. There's this whole thing with like Molly face because her video during an interview froze and she was making like this weird face, right? And that become like a little meme that she used within things. So I'm like, oh my God, that's an amazing idea. Why the hell am I not doing that? Because when you can find those little GIFs, she puts them up and makes them public. And that's just one more place that you can repurpose your content without actually taking your content, right? Everybody uses memes. Everybody, right? So why not stick them up there? Put your hashtags up, link them back to your website. It's all different touch points that you can have really, really simply, really, really easily. If you don't want to scan them through there, think about different things that you might want to use in your content. You know, she did one the other day. She's doing a live kickstart right now. And she had one where she was talking about her glasses. And she's like, I took my glasses off and I was like, you are awesome, right? And she's like, but I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. So I took my glasses off and I gave that moment so that her team could go in and specifically pull that one out. But you can do that. Just grab your phone and just be like, you are awesome, right? You don't have to do something in your video. You can go ahead and do it separately too. But I thought that was super cool. And I'm going to try that out too, because I just think it's going to be so much fun to have those things. So like I said, one new thing for each of my speed buckets is my goal for the end of everything, right? So you've got ideas for memes, right? You can come up with those things as you get better for them. You can find the quote cards, right? If you say something good, put it in the quote cards, sit it up there. But I also like to just pull out little snippets of things, little tiny snippets. So I'm not looking for crazy produced sections. None of this stuff is produced. It's just me talking to you guys. But I'm just looking for little tidbits of things that I can pull out and use in different spots, because I know eventually I'm going to do other things. I'm going to eventually have to get onto TikTok and do something other than watch crazy dances and cat stuff, right? So I've got all of those things. And you can Google, guys, this is not about like 100 things that you can repurpose your content into. They're all fucking the same thing. They're all on Google. None of them teach you how to look at your content, though. None of them tell you how to prepare to repurpose your stuff. Because sometimes, you know, back in the day, I would go through my videos and everything was like super like this. And I couldn't use any of it because it sucked. It was awful. And I just leave them up because why not? Might as well be able to go back and see me in 20 years and my kid be like, Mom, you were awful. But you know, when you can learn how to think about repurposing your content, when you have an understanding of why you're doing it, it's not just, I want all of this stuff out there. With the gifts, it has nothing to do with your stinking video. You just want people to know you. And people that are going on there and they're looking for gifts and they find you, they may be like, oh my God, this woman is awesome. I just love all of her gifts that she has on here. Who is this? Go back to, and then maybe she has that connection, right? If not, it's still somebody that is just aware of who you are. So repurposing, I want you guys to understand, repurposing is not just about chopping your video. It's not just about creating a brand new quote card to put on Instagram. It's not about that. It's finding new ways to be able to connect with people. So think of them as my son's ortho story. It's a different way of connecting with them in a way that's going to hopefully get them interested in what you've got. Okay, so when I do the show notes for this, I'm going to give you guys a couple of examples of what I mean by hitting on different angles. So I'm going to create a couple of different titles and like headlines that I would use for this thing that would bring it from a different angle. Because like I said, not everybody cares about the time. Not everybody is like, I want 100 things that I'm going to be able to post from my one video. Some people just want the list. Some people just want a checklist of here's what you should do first and do this second, right? So there are a couple of systems. You know, I love my systems and my SOPs. I love them. And I was going to share these with you guys so you could actually see them. You know what, if you guys want copies of the SOPs and all that kind of stuff that you want, I'll put them in the show notes for you guys too. But I have an entire SOP on how to create my weekly lives. And it goes from everything from planning for the month, right? So when we think of the core method, right? Planning for the conversions. So I do a focus document so that I can get really clear about what it is that I intend to do that month, what I want to teach people, what it's going to mean for my business, what it's going to mean for them. I get all the topics. I have other documents where I keep all of my notes for everything. And then I have an action post template as well. And these are what I use week to week. And this is what's inside the Get It Done workbook as well. And it's just one place to keep all my stuff. And I wish you guys could see this because it's so freaking amazing. I love this stuff. So it has all of my stuff. So when I come up with the keywords that I want to rank for, right? Starting to try to do SEO. We'll see how it works. But those are in there. Then it's got a place for me to come back and say, okay, this is the Facebook Live event. This is the link to go into the group and get the bonus training. This is where it is on YouTube. It's got all of that basic stuff, but it's also got my blog posts. It's got the 2 emails that I'm going to write. It's got the social media questions that I write because I also use Jasper and /Jarvis to create different social media questions that I can either put into my seed buckets. I can do teaser videos for, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So I have all of those kind of things that are going to be in there. And then I've got my entire video script. So I have the intro that I use, if we haven't met here before, that always stays the same. But Jarvis /Jasper creates the title, the description that goes under the YouTube video. When I put it onto YouTube, he writes the initial hook, the lead-in. The lead-in, I actually use one of the templates in there, the PAS framework, problem, agitate, solve, solution. So I use that to kind of lead into the actual content that we're going to do, plus all of my notes, all of the call to action. Then I have the same thing for the Facebook, because when I go into my private group, it needs another title. It needs another description, and I need all the notes that I'm going to be talking about. But then it's also got all of my my chop and schedule. So all of my show note or all of my speed bucket notes are going to be in that one document. And then And then I have the actual checklist. I wish you all could see this right now. So it goes down, write the blog post, write the email, write the title and description, then create the events, right? Or the images for everything. And I list out all the images that I have. Then go and create your event so that I'm not, in the beginning, I was kind of going backwards and forwards and I was like, ah, shit, I don't have this yet. Let me go create that. So it's got all of my prep stuff, but then it's also got all of my go live list, right? So how do I edit the video? What are the card titles? What are the CTAs? What's the teaser text that I put into all of this stuff? You know, go and get the embed code from Facebook, go and do this, go and do that. All of that stuff is in there, as well as all the snippets that I use. So all of the LinkedIn call to action that I use, I've got the handful of the affiliate links that I'm always using in different stuff. I have a specific way of going into my group event, or my, I guess it's a public event, not the group event, to follow up with the people who have posted, or people that might show up afterwards, right? Because it still shows up in the past events that I've done. So all of those things are in an SOP, which keeps me super focused. That's really, really important to me, especially when I'm using Jarvis/Jasper to write all my content and do all the things I need. It just allows me to sit down and just bang, 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 bang. That's why I can get all my content for like the entire month out in like 2 hours, right? So you already know I use Jasper. So I said, I was going to explain this. So they used to be called Conversion.ai. Then they rebranded to Jarvis, which I loved. That's how I met Jarvis, fell in love with him. And then they got a cease and desist letter from Marvel saying, hey, y'all can't do this. So they just recently, like this week, rebranded to Jasper. I'm not sure I'm quite in love with the name, and I keep screwing it up. So if you see Jarvis, it's really Jasper, and Jasper's Jarvis. And it's the thing that makes all of this stuff really, really easy. Okay, so you already know that I use those things. But I also use the business blueprints. So every single time I sit down to do stuff, my clients are the same way. They give me this bucket of stuff, and they're like, here's the sales page content, here's the blog post. And it's not that the content is garbage, it's the order of things, right? So after 13 years of doing this and taking hundreds of different courses and reading different things and learning from some of the best minds in the world, you get to realize that there is a general rule of thumb, best practices for how to put all this stuff together. Now, I tell you guys every single week, I think pretty much, that everything is the same fucking shit. It is, and this is no different. What I did with the business blueprints is I took what I knew from my time online, what I do for myself, what I've learned from all of these people, and I just put it in a way that was easy to understand. If you're making a sales page, you're going to start with your headline. Then you're going to say, here's what your life looks like right now. Here's what your life could look like. And here's how you get to the life you want. All of this stuff, they use different words for it. They use different things for it. Somebody is going to sell it for $29.97 because they're really good marketing chops and they can get away with it because they're super well known. Somebody else is going to sell it for $9.97, and somebody else is going to be able to Google it and get it for free. Okay? Just be aware of that. Nothing is different here. It's all in who you want to be taught by. It's all about who makes it easiest for me to understand and implement. Because y'all, if you're just showing up and just learning and never implementing, waste of time. So anyway, the business blueprints are just like a list of templates, and I've combined them with Jasper templates. So for example, when we're talking about your videos, right? So there's a business blueprint for here's what you do, and here's the Jarvis template that'll kind of get you there. So it just makes that whole process quicker. And then I don't have to remember which template am I using for this one, which one am I not? It doesn't do that. So then once a month, I just sit down, I figure out what my focus is for the upcoming month. I figure out what it is that I'm going to focus on selling or getting somebody to opt into or buy or whatever they're going to be doing. And then I have Jasper rate all my shit. And it takes me, I'm going to say under 5 hours because I'm still a little bit slow. And sometimes I'm super duper picky, which is annoying. I'm trying to not be a perfectionist, but it's a problem. And then I just use Social Champ to recycle all of my content. So really quickly before we wrap up, I hope you guys know now that there is more to repurposing your content than just putting it on a different channel or pulling it, you know, quote cards. Yes, it's pulling it out in a different way and putting it out there, but there is a whole methodology between getting that content and pulling them back. Okay. You want to be able to interconnect all of these things. A quote card, yes, it's content. Yes, it's awesome. Yes, it can sometimes showcase what you're doing. But if you're just throwing it out there to throw it out there with no kind of wherewithal about what it's there to do, it's kind of useless. And that's what I find a lot of people, they try doing content creation, they try repurposing, they don't see the results because they don't have that end goal. If your end goal is to get everybody back to your live and watching and commenting and sharing, then everything that you send out has to be about sending them back there. Okay? So when it comes to the content creation, there is the Get It Done that I've mentioned before. It's a content planning and creation, but it's execution club. It's not show up and listen to Dawn talk for an hour. It's not show up and listen to all of these videos at your own pace. There are videos to explain things just so that we don't take away from the execution part of our club. But it's 2 hours once a month with me. So if you do run into problems, if Jasper is giving you ridiculous things, you're not getting what you need, you have somebody that's there that's actually knows what they're doing and can help you. You also get to take advantage of the co-action effect, which is basically just the phenomena of when people come together and they're all working on the same task, your productivity and your focus goes way, way up. Right? So you're going to get access to all of the blueprints that I have. These are being written as we go, which is why in a second you'll understand. But you'll get access to all of the business blueprints. You get a full workbook every single month. This has everything that I do to keep myself organized. So I tell my son all the time, he's got take 30s. So take 30 minutes to go and do something creative. Take 30 minutes to go interact with another human being that's like real live face to face, right? Take 30 and go and read your study notes. So it's the same kind of premise, but it only takes me 20 minutes. So they're take 20s. And so it's all of the things you need to do to get yourself set up for the month, putting things into your calendar, preparing to put your content together, because if it's in your calendar, you're actually going to get things done. Okay, so it's got all of that stuff. It's got your action planners that I went through that I use every single month. It's got stats trackers, goals trackers. It's got all the things you freaking need to get everything done. You also get access to the Entrepreneur's Vault, which has all of the training that I've done in the past in there, new stuff going in there all of the time. That's where you're going to find some of the stuff that we talked about today, the SOP that we're going to talk about and things like that, as well as the Facebook community. So all of that is like $17 a month, but only for right now. Once all of the side bit training, so I'm going to do training on Social Champ that's already up there. There's a little bit of training on Jarvis. I'm going to do a little bit more on that one. Once you have all of the training that's up there, once I have all of the business blueprints in there that I want, it's actually going to raise to like $27 a month, which is still a freaking bargain. It's still a bargain. One of the hardest things that we have as an entrepreneur is actually showing up and doing the things that we need to do. That's why, and I'm speaking from experience, that's why my content was never getting done, because the way that I was going about it was too difficult. I was trying to do things that I had to super duper prepare for, and it was too hard to come up with ideas. It was ridiculous. The stuff that we go over, the things in your focus documents for the month, the way that you approach everything, the things that I've learned in the last 15 years has made this so much easier. So much easier. So I literally sit down for under 5 hours in a month and I have everything that I need. Emails, show notes, which are full blog documents. I've got all of the emails, all of the headlines, all of my video stuff that I need. Everything for it in under 5 hours, and it's done. It's not like sitting in draft and point form. It is freaking done, loaded up, ready to go, everything for the month. So all I have to do is open up a document a day or two before I'm going to come live, make my little notes of anything new that I want to talk about when I'm actually live with you guys. And that's it. That's all I have to do. It's so easy. So easy. So it's called Get It Done Content Planning Creation Club. It's 17 bucks. If you guys want to join me for the next one, we're going to be doing the next one in February. It's not going to be this cheap ever again. Once I think it's only going to be that 1 month, maybe 2, but I don't think so because I'm usually pretty quick because Jarvis is helping. So it's only going to be 17 bucks for this particular month. If you get in at 17, you're going to be 17 bucks a month, no matter how much it is. And I think you're going to get a ton of value in it. I think it's going to help you create your content quicker. It's going to be more strategic. You're going to get more benefit out of it. You're going to see the consistency. You're going to be proud of yourself. You're going to keep on going because that's what happens when things are successful. We keep doing it. And I think it's going to be super awesome. And I would love for you guys to be there. If you want more information about that, just let me know. I'll tell you all about it. And I would love for you guys to join me in the next one because we have content and shit to make. So thank you all so much for being here. I had a blast. I'm so sorry that we had the problems in the beginning, but that is life when you are on live. It's all worked out at the end. I'm going to be hopping into my Facebook group. And we're going to go deep dive. Hopefully I can actually share my screen with some of this stuff because I want to deep dive into these action planners so that they can all walk away and start planning the content today, even if they're not smart enough to come join me and get it done. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll see you all next week.